In the last video, I established that Persona is no stranger to horror. The franchise excels at a lot, and a lot of other elements go under the radar, so I was very happy to be able to shine a light on an aspect of the series that I truly admire. I shared quite a few examples in the last video of horror in the series, but the truth is that these are not one-off instances. There's still plenty to discuss, and I'm gonna start right now.
Darkest of Suns.
I would be willing to say music is the single most iconic element of the Persona titles. I would argue this also goes beyond the music being simply catchy. The music is often used to directly contextualize themes, and at times, the music can serve as a monologue. Episode 14 of Persona 5 the Animation introduced the theme Dark Sun, a melancholic song that's easy to assume is from the perspective of Goro Akechi. I have a question. Is it wrong to pity Goro Akechi? I've come to the conclusion he's irredeemable. An egomaniacal murderer that will stop at nothing to fulfill his own selfish ambition, for bloodlust and vengeance. To be honest, even aside from his horrific deeds on a human level though, I can pity him. While looking through the lens of him having to be abandoned by his father at birth, and also considering he had to live past his mother's suicide as a kid, it's understandable in a way that without either parental figure, it would lead him to not being able to develop a way to cope. And I want to emphasize that even though I don't believe he's worthy of forgiveness, I can just pity him. Now back on the topic of Dark Sun. It seems to ruminate on his horrific acts on what must have been countless murders in the grand scheme of things. Not to mention, the song will often shift to a melancholic regret when he pontificates that he's too far gone, and questions if he's too much of a monster to be saved. The song really is a haunting piece about a tortured soul really praying for a new path and hoping to find a new light. It also contains a chilling acknowledgement of being on the losing side of the fight. And all of these things are not why I chose to include Dark Sun in this discussion. You see, the disturbing thing about Dark Sun is the immediate imagery we get from the intro itself towards the end. You see, this song is introduced not long after Makoto Nijima is introduced during her arc with Kaneshiro. This all becomes relevant because I and many others have realized that this intro may be showing us a glimpse into the bad timeline, one of the game over timelines to be specific, a glimpse into the consequences if the Phantom Thieves were to fail. Now, I'm gonna let you guys know right now, there's gonna be a content warning. If the Phantom Thieves had failed to successfully steal Kaneshiro's heart, things could have ended up really bad. The glimpses we get to see into this timeline show the Phantom Thieves as victims, in particular victims of human trafficking. You see, Kaneshiro is often dubbed to be a weak villain, but I don't think people understand the stakes that were on the line when encountering him. I've always strongly disagreed. He's disgusting, he's conniving, he's greedy, and most of all, he's heartless. Kaneshiro would do anything for money. It's horrible enough he had threatened Makoto with making Sai Nijima one of his personal concubines. It's also bad enough he said he would force her into trafficking. But what's exceedingly disturbing about Kaneshiro is that he doesn't care if you're a kid. He'll find a place in the market for you too, as he showed with Makoto in his dialogue. And with how hyper-focused he is with profits, he admitted he would only need to kill one or two Phantom Thieves to get a message across. The truth is, he's so disgusting, he sees them as an asset to utilize for more money. In these few shots, we see Anne, Ryuji, and Makoto nude. But if you slow down even just a little bit on Makoto's shot, you'll notice she's on a bed and yeah. I definitely don't need to go further on this, but it's always unsettled me because the opening is mostly standard fare, and then at the tail end it shoves all these almost snuff film-esque sequences and shots. It's very odd, and seeing this made me realize this may be the most scary fail state in any Persona game. The worst game over possible for anyone. It's truly disturbing.
Those pearly gates.
Persona 4 is often considered the most lighthearted amongst its peers. Personally, I've never really saw it that way, but a glance at Nanako's dungeon Heaven, you'd be forgiven to think this is just another zany romp in an anime-style JRPG. But everyone that's played this game knows that heaven is the single dungeon you want to get over with the most. You see, there's no soaking in this wonderland because at every turn, the stakes remind you why you're here. The life of your 7-year-old cousin is in jeopardy. The whole time you're here, you see her innocence front and center. This little girl who had her mother's life stripped away from her. A child that, due to the loss of her mother, has pondered mortality harder than any child should ever have to. The thought of heaven has given her solace that her mother is in a better place. So it's pretty sad that this is the place that her mind goes to once you enter what's in her immediate conscience. It's just so natural that she would imagine such a gorgeous place. Huge trees, rainbows, enormous gates. But as I said, there is zero time to soak any of this in. Namatame, in an act of extremism, takes it upon himself to try to save Nanako, not knowing the repercussions. You see, being in the shadow world is taxing on anyone, especially on the first time. But Nanako, she's a child. The atmosphere alone is dangerous for her. Not to mention, God forbid, a shadow coming across her could just be catastrophic. The pressure is already on, and it doesn't help that you're wandering this maze that seems almost endless. At every turn, you hope to see Nanako, hear something, anything, that will clue you into where she is, but it keeps going. The song playing, Heaven, is this smooth, catchy track that helps ease the nerves, at least until you understand the lyrics. These lyrics are about this lonely girl's day-to-day life, about how she feels abandoned, how this girl replays memories over and over about her deceased mother, and how she copes with the music she hears, presumably from the TV, with her father being obsessed with finding the culprit responsible for the hit and run with her mother. It's sad to say the closest thing this poor girl had to family for a long time before you got there probably was just a television. The horror that lies in heaven is that, depending on how things are handled after all these events, her life can very much be lost. But the decisions are all in your hands. Sometimes, literally.
Burning up for you.
Reaching December in Persona 4 Golden is a critical part in the adventure. This determines whether or not you and your friends attain the truth. The time comes where you must deduce who's been responsible for the murders plaguing Yasuo Inaba, and after sorting things out, you realize it has to be your friend Adachi. This man who you've spent so much time with at the mall, in your home, and around your closest relatives. A man who struggled alongside your uncle on the police force. He's truly a disgusting person. But what if you find yourself thinking, many people have a disgusting side. What if you think, hey, my other friends were also deplorable in their own rights? And eventually, this train of thought leads you to believe that the right choice here is leniency. You know, to a degree, we did show leniency to all the rest in some capacity. Could it be that different this time? What if cognitive dissonance alone doesn't even allow you to see Adachi as the serial killer? Well, you betray everyone. The single piece of evidence that could have linked Adachi to all of the murders. Those letters he sent you at the Dojima residence. Forensics very well could have used this as evidence, as the silver bullet to convict him in this case. Alas, in a moment of weakness you decide to shield your eyes from the truth, and burned it. This scene is so scary because it comes from the very human response of not wanting to see the worst in someone. But in this you've committed a far greater evil. You see, this isn't just covering up for Adachi, it's a complete insult to the investigation team. It puts everyone's efforts for naught. A spit in the face to any loved one seeking closure, and worst of all, a shake and a kick to the graves of everyone that lost their lives in these senseless acts of murder. And rest assured, after making a horrific choice, you will suffer a horrific consequence. After burning the letter, Adachi issues you a warning. If you see his phone number, you'd best pick it up. He reminds you that there's no point in attempting to go off the grid, because with his resources as a police officer, it would take little to no effort at all to find you, no matter where you are. You may try to hide, but good luck. The final shot of Adachi watching you from the outside of the train reminds you of his eye forever watching you now. It would also be a good time to remind you that abandoning your mission lets the fog set in permanently. And when the fog comes to stay and the shadows arise, well, I don't think I need to tell you twice what that would lead to.
Entire town, it's filled with shadows. I can't.
Familiar faces.
You and the Phantom Thieves have once again overcome unfathomable odds. You've pushed your way through the metaverse, conquering jails and stealing the desires of corrupted hearts once again. Then, you find yourself face to face with a false god. Once again. You see, the Demiurge has countless links to the Singularity. It's a very forthcoming and blatant allegory for atomization due to technology like phones, social media. Note the giant screen it holds over its head. This stuff alone is certainly unnerving and definitely strikes a chord with what we see day to day in the real world. We truly do see it every day. However, I would say that there's nothing innately horrific or scary about the Demiurge itself in terms of design, setting, or anything like that. What's disturbing about the Demiurge is the implication of its existence. In my opinion, the sheer existence of the Demiurge is what's truly terrifying. Let's look at his design, side by side with the final boss of Persona 5. Angelic wings, multiple arms, enormous size. It's no coincidence, but after I'd completed the fight, it all hit me. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, Yaldabaoth may have been right. You see, in a way, he's completely correct because he's immortal. You see, Yaldabaoth wasn't simply this omnipotent god that was there along humanity since the dawn of man. It was simple. He was always forged from humans' desires to relinquish control, so that way they wouldn't have to think, they wouldn't need to suffer. Oh, we're doing this dance. Again and again and again. And it goes beyond Persona 5 Strikers and Persona 5. I mean, Izanami told us the fog was the result of humans not wanting to see the world for what it is. They preferred a world submerged in fog, free of complications and struggle. And if you want to go even further back, Nyx told us herself we all wished for oblivion. This is all going on in circles, don't you see? The Demiurge is most mortifying because after seeing him look so one-to-one with Yaldabaoth, did the cycle click with me. The cycle doesn't end, the conflict won't ever conclude anytime soon, and I suppose there's nothing to be done. One side inevitably falls, but knowing the principle of existence, we know that the one thing that's promised to us from birth, as humans, is death. Until then, we could only do exactly what we can. No one controls how much time is allotted to them, and at that point, I guess all we could say is,
Memento Mori.
The Call of 100.
imagine you find yourself in a deep slumber. The morning sun rises, but you have no time to bask in its presence. You get yourself off your bed and look down, and you're notified. You just hit 100 subscribers overnight. I want to thank everyone for all the support and feedback on part 1 of this series. I've been meaning to take a shot at content creation for quite a while, honestly, and recently time has just condoned my availability for this venture, and I'm really excited. The truth is, I could talk about Atlas, Persona, and any JRPG pretty much all day, and with you guys supporting me, it's immensely motivating, so I wanted to thank you. And I'm not going to take it lightly either. Like, I'm promising you guys that my content will remain consistent in terms of upload. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon, so we're locked in, boys. And even if you don't subscribe, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you'll continue to tune in and maybe check in and out whenever you feel like it, because, you know, it's just fun to talk sometimes, comments, whatnot. I also have a whole lot of lighthearted content if you guys want something that for, like, you know, laughs and all that. I yap about plenty of stuff. But anyways, this wraps up this week's episode of Horror and Persona, and next week, part 3 will be out around the same time, so I hope I'll see you there. I love you. Comment, like, subscribe. I'll see you next video.